Good evening, it's 9 p.m. You're watching the News X debate with me, Frank Pereira. Well, the Central Board of Film Certification may have objections to films educating audience about sex and adult relationships, but it certainly doesn't mind showing women as objects of desire or simply as item girls. What is the need of the hour? Welcome sex scenes or just continue titillating audiences with item girls?
Skimpy clothes, gyrating dance moves, double meaning lyrics, these are the new item numbers. Item songs are not new to Bollywood. In black and white era too, there were catchy item songs. But these days, item numbers are different. They are cheesy, with below-the-belt lyrics. Portraying women in less than skimpy clothes as objects of desire, as if they have been put on this planet for the sole pleasure of men. These raunchy numbers semi-pornographic in nature. And it is not just item numbers. Watch the latest Bollywood movies and you'll realize that in terms of man-woman relationships, what is shown is only physical proximity. A complete lack of depth and beautiful complexities that usually defines a man-woman relationship. But none of these things raises eyebrows. Who cares? Filmmakers defend monetary interests, many talk of freedom of artistic speech. But fact of the matter is, this semi-pornographic gyrating and thrusting ends up titillating the front benchers, not allowing moviegoers to develop a healthy attitude towards sex. And changes are there in our society. Young children attaining sexual maturity early. Vulgar dance moves from such songs subliminally affecting the minds of 5-year-olds and adults alike. Bureau Report, News X.
And joining me on the debate tonight, we have actor Nagma, also advocate Vasundhara Pathak Masoodi, Divia, Dewidi, of course, who is also an actor, joins us on the show. Sunita Godara, social activist on the show tonight, and Dr. Nimesha Desai, who is a psychiatrist, also joins us on the show tonight as well. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the News X debate at 9 tonight. And I'd like to start with you, Dr. Desai, and ask you a very simple question. Our hypocrisy has trapped us in this hell, hasn't it? Because on one side, we talk about, let's talk about films per se, and let's talk about how films and ads has spoiled our society at large. You have films saying that a mother and father should not kiss on screen. If a mother and father are shown kissing on screen, that is termed as an adult movie. And on the other hand, you just saw those visuals on your screens right now. A woman thrusting her chest into the camera is fine.
Broadly, the word that you used is very operative. The hypocrisy that exists in any society certainly has been a hallmark of our society and our culture about sexual modes and attitudes. But there's something else that is worth flagging, and that is that a repressed, suppressed culture on these issues for centuries, you know, it seems is suddenly opening up, and obviously it's going haywire. See, it's going haywire.
But is it opening up in the right way? That's the problem.
I know. Absolutely. We would love it. But then we'll have to realize that responsibility and responsible action especially when it comes to artistic freedom kind of issues, is going to be both internal and external. It will have to be done by people who make movies. It will have to be externally enforced and socially demanded. So that balance, somewhere we'll have to strike very soon, because otherwise really we are in a huge danger.
Okay. Sunita Gaura, let's look at a person who comes from the village. Let's look at someone who has no education whatsoever. He doesn't know how to read. He doesn't know how to write. He's not seen anything else in his life. He's not seen a news. And he looks at a movie like this. What is he going to get from that movie?
That's the point. That movies are for entertainment. That's what Bollywood will say. And it is true. It is for entertainment. But who will teach these people who are not educated, who has come from village, no exposure, that real life and real life is different? Who will teach them this? So when we are not prepared to absorb all these what we are seeing, obscenes or whatever, Vayat Gane, Vayat ads, if we are not able to absorb all this by the society, then we have to think twice to show this on the screen.
You wanted to say something?
I want to raise a very important question. It's not with regard to only educated society, ma'am. The reason is it's basically something psychological. I hope sir would agree to my point. It's not basically the educated society or the uneducated society. It is something the awareness which a person should have. He should have the knowledge that, okay, I'm going to do a crime. I'm going to definitely face a kind of a penalty which may really take his life away, or which may put him in a very bad color, and which will definitely stigmatize him. So it's not something that only the educated class is involved into. Even uneducated class is involved into. Even the educated people are there who are committing this crime.
Certainly.
Day in and day out.
Certainly, we are not saying no. We are not saying no.
Something with regard to psychology. It is something with regard to the psychology of an individual.
I think we agree completely with Vasundhara. I think all that the anchor meant, if I might say, is the issue that the vulnerability of those migrants who are not exposed to the other part is a little more, and so our responsibility towards them becomes more. But for sure there is no class or
there is
education.
No class. There is definitely no class. We are not bifurcating people into this and that. But when you are not exposed to anything at all, you have not watched television in your life.
Then you are vulnerable. Then you are more vulnerable. That is the only point. Then you are more vulnerable. But to make the point more precise and succinct, I would see that this is something which is categorically related to our psychology and our mindset. The main criminality behind such an offense is our mindset.
And to continue from there, I think what she's saying is a huge point, but I'm sure she'll agree. See, the point is sexual freedom and the mores becoming more liberal, I do believe is a matter of time, and there is very little that you can do about it. But that's as far as my individual desire or my need goes, or consensual relationships go. The issue of criminality comes in when I am encroaching on somebody else's freedom or space. And that's the problem that I really repeatedly get bothered about. The Western concept of autonomy of an individual, what I do, what I wish to do, is all right in a certain context. But then there is a huge dose of how my autonomy cannot encroach on hers. You see, my freedom of extending my arm has to stop when it touches her nose.
Absolutely.
Now that's the thing that somewhere we'll have to really inculcate at many levels.
Certainly. Let's bring in Nagma also into the picture right now. Nagma, of course, Indian cinema seems to have turned its back on good human relationships. There are, like I was talking about earlier as well, there are hardly any movies that talk about the bond between a mother and a father, and we seem to be deviating from there. We seem to be deviating a lot from there, and films like Dabang, films like several other such films, of course, there's Singham and several others, of course, that are not coming to my mind right now, of course, that show violence, not just violence. In terms of violence, I say violence because you've seen the kind of fight sequences that these movies have, and these are all U-rated movies, let's not forget, they are not A-rated movies. And also, you have films talking about item numbers and item girls, and that seems to be the way all film directors and film producers are going right now.
Well, I'd like to begin with saying that I beg to differ over here. I just feel that cinema is merely entertainment, and cinema has been around for over decades and decades, and it's always been
unchanged and unfazed. I think it's more of an entertainment medium, so more of entertainment you would get to see. But it's also a depiction of real life. I think it's 99% of cinema is depiction of real life and real characters of what is happening around in society and real life incidences. Most of our writers are very creatively writing what they see always. So as an actor and having been worked in 9 different languages for over 22 years, I have enough experience to say that most of the scripts that are there, they are mostly real life incidences and like similar life incidences that are there. And I think film industry and item numbers and all these kind of things have been there forever. I think even Helen ji and Bindu ji and item, they used to do item numbers and they used to wear such kind of clothes. And I don't think
but how many item numbers have you seen in the past?
Helen, whenever Helen was doing such dances, cabaret dances, she was not looking obscene because she was a cabaret dancer in the movie. But here, the heroine also doing item numbers, so it looks little obscene.
At one level,
the point here
earlier heroes were not doing dirty things. Only the women were doing
there was an Aruna Irani who was also an actress.
Yes, but
no, I beg to differ again. Even Aruna Irani was an actress who did all kinds of. I think Aruna Irani started with Bombay to Goa, and she also before that did a lot of different things. And even Mumtaz was there. She started with Mumtaz ji started with different kind of characters, and then she became the main lead actress or whatever. So there, it goes. That doesn't matter who's performing what, but we are speaking about vulgarity on screen and what is depicting on screen today.
Here is a relevant point, ma'am, which I would like to raise here. I'm sorry to interject you, but the kind of perverted songs we get to hear these days, Chikni Chameli, Sheila Ki Jawani, I'm so sexy for you, and then Fevicol songs, that ki main murgi hu lele saiya alcohol se. So we were never used to such kind of songs earlier, ma'am. And the kind of culture which we are actually going through, our new generation, the children, the girls, we feel a lot of pride in the fact that they are dancing to such songs and singing such kind of songs. So what kind of culture are we actually imparting to the present generation? This is highly uncalled for. Yes, absolutely, I buy the argument for buying the argument that cinema is a reflection of our society, it's a reflection of our culture, but at the same time it owes a huge amount of responsibility in maintaining that culture as well.
And
if it reflects the culture, it should not go a step further in daunting the culture.
Certainly, that's the point.
I'd like to answer.
Let Nagma rebut that. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to answer this. Well, I'm not selling anything here, but I just would like to say that that's my opinion, and I think that having been an actor for so many years, I kind of agree in a way that there are about 2-3 numbers which have been like that, which have been a little bit, a little bit over the edge. But I do feel that we are very, very influenced by the West, and you have a lot of people in the West and a lot of things in the West happening like that. So if you do have a mix of certain things, I think it's a mindset. If somebody wants to do something bad, somebody goes and does it.
Actually, we are finding an escaping route, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on. Nagma, you're talking about the West. You're talking about the West, but there are several movies. There are several movies in the West. There are several movies in the West where women play the lead role, where women are projected as heroes as well. But that does not seem to be the case here in India. Women are objectified here in India.
Absolutely. Whether by the ads world, whether by the corporate world, sorry to say that Indian women has been largely taken as really as an object, and she has been brutally objectified.
That's undeniable. That objectification and commodification of the other gender is so indisputable, I think. But to respond to Nagmaji's other point, you see, the old adage, truth being stranger than fiction, is correct. And I would say, as a psychiatrist of 30 years and an NGO person, that the social reality, as she is suggesting, is as gruesome as the films depict. But the responsibility issue that she raised is, do we have to necessarily magnify it, cinematically enlarge it, and put it in a manner that will influence the mind? That's the question that I think we should seriously. No denying that reality and real life will reflect each other to an
And
extent.
secondly, Nagmaji, if you talk about Western society, Western culture, then don't forget you are a politician also.
Okay, I think Divya wants to come in. Divya, go ahead, please.
Yes, I said I am very much agree with Sir and Nagmaji, what she said right now. People in our country, they are not much educated. Problem is this. And what she said, Nagmaji, that it's all mindset. Yes, that's correct, very correct. People should, I think we should change our entire environment and we should provide some education to develop their mental strength to understand all these things. We can't blame film industry because whatever work we do it just for entertainment, nothing else.
But the problem really is our film stars are larger than life and people look up to them. People look up to them and want to follow them, and they are looked up as gods. In fact, that's the real problem. So yeah, they're role models. Yes, they're role models. So certainly movies will
they owe much larger responsibility than which we even envy such. There is a huge amount of responsibility on Indian cinema because Indian cinema has played such an important role since time immemorial, since the days of our Azadi. So Indian cinema has really got that kind of an attraction in it that if given a chance, it may really explore a better world for all of us.
Yes.
And again, our cinema filmmakers behind the camera as well as the actors who play the roles in front of the camera cannot, I think, Nagmaji, disagree with the fact that the more influenced the technology and the higher the level of technology, as we are now going to see right now, the more is the influence on those vulnerable minds. One will have to recognize the interaction between those who are vulnerable to do such acts and the influence that the high-tech cinema and the television provide. I know we are bending about this word responsibility a bit too much, and one might well say we are entertainment industry, responsibility is not our domain. But I guess serious thought collectively and over time deserves some attention.
I think this is the high time since 1953.
No,
Rate has increased 873.
Let her respond. She hasn't got a chance to respond previously as well. Go ahead, Nagma.
Yeah, I'd like to say that most of the actors are very, very responsible. I just think it's a one-off, kind of thing. It's not like every movie. I think Amir Khan, a lot of actors, I don't think Shah Rukh Khan, I think many actors who single out something and say that, okay, the entire film industry is doing something like that is not correct. And basically it's happening everywhere. So why only blame the film industry or why blame films?
Yeah,
it's been happening forever, for ages. So suddenly what's happened?
We're not denying that it's not happening everywhere. We're agreeing that it's happening everywhere. But today we are discussing films. We are not discussing everything else because in the span of half an hour,
I have an answer to that. I have an answer to that. If you go by the movies in 70s and 80s, you would find that there were more picture of rapes depicted in those movies in comparison to the movies which we are get to see today. But now what we are get to seeing today is not actually the rape scenes but the factors causing rape. For example, the innuendo, the sexual innuendos, the double meaning songs, the double meaning dialogues, the kind of attire the women, the heroines are wearing. These are the factors which actually adds up to this particular crime. And so it's not actually the crime which is being depicted in today's cinema. These are the factors. They are leading.
You're titillating the front benchers. You're titillating the front benchers. You're not completing the act on screen.
You are not completing, but you are actually taking the audience to that level where they commit such an offense. And here comes the main criminal. There he finds a girl who is 5 years, he finds a woman who is 80 years, and he just want to satisfy his urge, and he falls on such kind of activities.
What was?
Okay, I'd like to ask in which film? I'd like to ask.
Go ahead, Nagma.
Is it shown that men are raping such small kids like 3 years old, 4 years old, and to
Mama, I hope you have not understood what I have said.
And do such things.
I hope you have not
understood what I have said.
I'm not talking about you, madam.
I have been very categorical in saying that though they are not actually committing such acts on the scenes in the real world, but actually what they are doing is, it's not only men. Say for example, the heroines, the item girls, what are they doing? By exposing their navels, by singing songs like Chikni Chameli, I'm so sexy for you, मैं तेरे हाथ में आनी.
By gesturing to the camera,
by gesturing to the camera, what are they actually?
Let Divya complete. Go ahead, Divya. Go ahead, Divya.
I said, Frank, what is happening here? That this small 5-year-old kid, she was not wearing any appealing dress.
That's what I said, ma'am. That's what I said. When a member of an audience...
Let her complete.
People, they are raping 3 months old, 3 months old, 3 months old baby, 5 years old baby, 3 years old baby. What is happening?
This is the sheer frustration, ma'am.
This film industry and item numbers. No, this is not done. This is not fair.
Ma'am, this is the arousal. This is
to the system.
Ma'am, this is an outcome of their frustration.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's come back to track. One second.
Cannot blame movies.
Yeah.
Let's
100%. We cannot blame movies.
We are not blaming movies.
And Divya, please. Nagma and Divya, we are not blaming Bollywood movies. They are part and parcel.
Dr. Desai.
It is a systematic failure.
Let's
bring some semblance.
Let's say this. That in the individual psyche, which is vulnerable, in the social ethos and the failures of the social control mechanisms, the situation is ripe for some individuals to unfortunately take such steps. Would the cinema industry or television industry like to be the final trigger that provides the stimulus? I am sure responsible industry would not want to do that. The point is that nobody is saying that's the major cause, right? Or that's what is leading to it. But even if what is shown in the films or on television, sometimes in the entertainment programs, even if it functions as a trigger for that vulnerable mind, would we all not like that we try and see what can be done about the trigger that we are providing?
This is exactly the point is.
You know?
Yeah. Nagma, do you want to respond to that? Nagma, do you want to respond to what Dr. Desai is saying?
What can be done about?
Yeah, of course. I just want to say I couldn't really hear him because the sound had gone off in the middle. But I'd just like to say that this particular incident, this particular little girl's incident, which happened a couple of days back, I mean this 5-year-old girl's incident, I believe when this man, this Manoj guy who was caught and he was interrogated, it was found that in his phone he had all these X-rated films that he was watching. So it's not actually Bollywood. If you really see that these guys are getting those kind of X-rated films and getting into filth and then committing such acts. So it's not a Chikni Chameli that they are watching and getting influenced by, but it's actually something else which is so easily available on the internet and on the other social media.
Chikni Chameli is being publicized and it's been used in the movie. We cannot vouch whether he has seen it or he hasn't seen it.
No. What Nagma is saying that he was watching.
So we actually cannot
absolutely. Yeah, this is the point, ma'am, that Bollywood, we are not saying Bollywood is solely to be blamed for. There is collective factors. There are collective factors which lead to such kind of crime. I do agree with your argument, ma'am. But at the same time, what we are saying is that Bollywood has a responsibility on it, that if given a chance, it can really help for the society to reform. And Bollywood has that credential. But what actually we get to see today is something which is adding up to such kind of crimes.
Let's even turn it around a little. Nagmaji, would I or would you or any filmmaker or any responsible citizen not like to examine if there is something that I am doing as part of my work is inadvertently, unknowingly contributing to a social crime?
Absolutely.
You see, even if I am doing something as creative work,
absolutely agreeable.
That's the only point. You know, basically
that's the point. That's the point.
No, that's the point.
Absolutely agreeable. But to say something like Bollywood is the only reason.
Bollywood is the only
I don't think That is the major influence on such
it's
Now we don't say,
It's
but,
not the-
but now Bollywood is not the only, but it has a major influence on the mindset of the society.
Okay. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that, and I'm happy that
That is what I don't agree with. That is what I don't agree.
We all agree that Bollywood is entertainment, but
All right.
you can be reformer
I
also
just
live with
want to say that technology is transcending all barriers. So you know, like she's saying, everything on mobile phone, the technology is really making it so accessible.
Internet is there, so
That's what I
Bollywood
mentioned.
All right.
It is a collective factor system.
We're completely out of time. We're completely out of time.
collectively Bollywood, civil society, then the politicians and the police and the judiciary can bring the change.
Okay, Sunita, we'll have to leave it at that. I'm sorry, completely out of time. Vasundhara Pathak Masoodi, Divia, Dewidi, Sunita Godara, Dr. Nimesh Desai, and Nagma as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight and sharing your expertise as well on this particular subject and taking us through this exciting half an hour. Thank you so much for watching.